Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cerebral Palsy Potluck. I am Jamie, moderator and founder of Cerebral Palsy Sunrise. And today I am super excited because we have added some fresh victims, new members to Cerebral Palsy Potluck. So I would like to introduce Nathan, Todd, and Scott Johnston. Nathan?
And thanks so much for having me on. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name's Nathan, and I'm the founder of No Label Defines Me Coaching. And every Friday, I load a new episode of my show, No Label Live, on YouTube.
And I'm Scott Johnston. I am the host of a podcast called Beyond the Bright Lights, where I interview sports figures. They could be athletes, they could be people in sports media or employees of teams, and talk to them about any adversity that they've faced in their life and how the lessons they've learned from sports have helped them get through it. I'm also have a background in broadcast journalism and am working on getting certified currently as a life and dating coach. So it's a little bit about.
I'm Whitney, and I'm the host of Spastic Chatter. It's a podcast that's meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together weekly with individuals to have a kind of uncensored chat about what it's like living with this type of disability, and I upload every Monday.
I'm DJ Carter. I am the host of My CP Does Not Define Me, which airs every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on www.letgoradio.net and Facebook Live. I'm also the admin, or one of the admins of Cerebral Palsy Sunrise, and I'm also the secretary of Kelly's Choice. That's kellyschoice.org. And y'all can find pretty much Instagram and Twitter. My CP Does Not Define Me as well. And I'm just started my new blog, which is CarterDJ85 at wix.com/mysite1.
Awesome. So, as you know, we compile the questions that come to our pages and take this as an opportunity for answers and feedback. So the first question I'm going to throw out to the group came from a member of Cerebral Palsy Sunrise who has been enjoying the dating series. And if you don't know, we started a dating series 2 weeks ago on Cerebral Palsy Sunrise. It has 6 parts. And their question was something that I think has probably impacted everybody in this room. They wanted to know, at what point in the conversation when you're interested in dating someone, do you usually talk about transportation based on the fact that either A, you don't drive, or B, you do drive but have an adapted vehicle or mobility devices that you bring along with you, such as, canes, walker, wheelchair, whatever your mobility aid of choice is. So I thought that would be a great thing for us all to answer, since we've all probably, I'm sure, been impacted by that. Whitney's engaged, DJ's married, I'm recently divorced. Guys, I don't know if you're single or involved, but we've all been dating at some point. So for today's order, we'll start with Nathan. Nathan, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so I think as far as the transportation issue, from my own experience, it wasn't something that was really the main issue for me. I'm ambulatory and I have spastic diplegia, so I've had my own transportation. But what I would say is, depending on what the specific barriers are, I think we are in a great time in the world, depending on what you use for adaptive equipment for things like Uber. If you're able to get in an Uber, that kind of eliminates that part of the barrier for you. I know that's not available for everyone, but I know other people on here can speak to that part of the issue. But it made me think of another thing. It made me think of, we've moved a lot to everything's online and we're swiping. And like, I think the more powerful conversation is, when do you actually talk about your disability, period? And is it something that you put on your profile or not? And from my experience, that's kind of shifted over time. Like before, I wouldn't put it on, but then I came to the realization, if I don't talk about it right then and there, I'm just hurting myself, because I'll get hyped up and then they'll be like, oh, I don't like you because of this reason. So why waste time?
Yeah, and to kind of jump off of Nathan's point, when it comes to how to address transportation, that has been an issue for me. I have spastic quadriplegia, and I do drive, although right now I can't afford it, so I'm having to share my van with my mom. So I take the bus at times, and for years, that actually kept me from dating, because I'm a very traditional guy. I want to be able to pick the girl up, do everything that society says the man is supposed to do. When I realized in my early 20s, when I started becoming interested in this one girl, she didn't care how I got there. She said, let me pick you up. Let me drive. Like, I don't care. I just want you there. And if it's the right person, they won't care how you get there or what it looks like. They just want to get to know you. And to Nathan's other point about whether to disclose, Jamie, this jumps off of a point that you mentioned in your video, the first video about dating, and that's self-acceptance. And to me, that is the first thing that you need to work on before you even think about dating. I learned that the hard way. I didn't even know I was going through self-rejection until I ended up rejecting someone else, because I had all these issues that I thought were impossible for us to overcome, and her parents would reject me, and we hadn't even really dated. Like, I was completely, spiraling in my own mind, because I didn't know what I was going through, and ended up losing her because of it. But the first thing is self-acceptance. And for me at this point, I am putting my disability on my dating profiles front and center, having my main picture be a picture of me in my chair, so I am not wasting anybody else's time or mine. I want that person to get to know me for who I am and all of who I am, instead of some contrived version of me that tries to fit into what somebody else might want. Because that's not who eventually they're going to be in a relationship with and or married. Like, I want to get married and have kids someday. And guess what? They're going to marry a guy in a chair. That's just what's going to happen. So why hide that?
Right.
In my opinion.
Can't change it. So,
Yeah.
That is true. What about you, Miss Witt?
Well, before I get into this, I'm a do as I say and not do as I do. Kind of.
Yeah, we've had this.
Kind of person. So do as I say, not as I do. So whenever I first met someone online, because I did all my dating online. So like, I put it on my profile that I had like some kind of joke on my profile, and like I didn't hide the fact that I was in a wheelchair. But when it came to meeting somebody, I preferred to meet them like in my chair, like in my chair so they can see that I'm like this normal person. So I actually invited them to my apartment because Thorndale is so small that everybody knew everybody. So if I matched with them, somebody had to know them. And I when I'm out of my chair, I can't really do anything like in a car. Like my spasticity is so bad that like they're gonna have to do pretty much everything for me. So I don't want that to be. I want them to see me in my natural state before they put me in a car or before they drive my van. Like I have a van, but I don't have to worry about any of that because
As usual, you're keeping it real, right, Whit? They got to be able to get past door one. Yeah.
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 But I don't have to worry about any of that because both me and my fiance are in wheelchairs. We don't drive, so he's kind of used to that. It's
Right.
kind of funny. It's kind of funny the first time we met each other in person. We met the entire family. It was so awkward. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So
You gotta do what you gotta do for love, man. If you're not
Yeah,
willing to put it all
exactly.
out there, you're not ready, right? So
Yeah.
even if the whole family has to come on your date, it's all good.
it's really awkward, but yeah.
It works. It works.
Whatever works.
What about you, Mr. DJ, the Mr. Married Man?
All right, so here's the thing. This is a two-parter, and I can answer this question pretty easily. On my profile, I have a phrase that says, "What you see is what you get." All right, so if I'm going to date, you're going to know me up front. You're either going to like me or you're not, and either way is okay, because as it was said earlier, self-acceptance is important, but honesty is also important. And I'm not going to tell you something you want to hear. Okay. I'm not one of these, I can be, daring and debonair and dress up in a suit. I don't drive. Okay. I have spastic dysplasia. And driving is, I have my own vehicle, so I can have somebody drive for me. It is what it is. My CP is going to go up on, I don't do dating online because yes, my CP is on my profile. I have a problem with dating online because there are so many people who are fake. I don't do fake people. I meet people in person. It is what it is. We talk. If it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. I don't care how pretty you are on the outside. Outside, all these pretty women everywhere. I want women on the. I want women on the inside. I'm because you can say all this little stuff. Oh, you're fighting a good fight, doing a great thing, and you're just the greatest man in the world. Turn your head, and boy, you're ugly as hell. You don't know what's going on. You don't see it. I mean, look, just tell me what you want. So yeah, I don't drive. Transportation for me, I've done the HRT, a handy ride, bus. I've had people pick me up and throw me in the car. So it's I bounce pretty well. So long as I'm all right when I hit the seat, I'm good to go. Shut the door, and that should. But I believe in being honest and upfront. My CP is part of who I am. It doesn't define what I do, but it has helped make me who I am.
And Jamie, just a few more thoughts on that. To me, it goes back to people don't like it when people that are dating online don't post current pictures of themselves, right? You often think, okay, if they're not honest about what they look like currently, what else are they hiding? And it's the same thing. You've got to be upfront and honest, and that's how good relationships start, to DJ's point. And actually, it's really funny. I came across an old quote that I wrote, I don't know when, but that is perfect for this topic right now. And it is, love grows at the end of lies. So as long as you're truthful, you have a chance for love. Like, that is so, so important. So
I think that is true, and I think we hit it out of the park with our first question. So good job, guys. Second question is something that is also kind of personal. Everybody's got a different journey when it comes to this, but the second question that we received had to do with self-care and taking, whoops, sorry, my dogs are wrestling, self-care and taking care of personal tasks when no one is home, aka family members, caregivers. The question really stems around, do you plan your day around it? Do you have an alternate? How much can you do on your own? I'm going to go ahead and go out of order and answer this one first because I think we're all in different areas for this one. I'm pretty lucky. The kind of stuff I need assistance with, I can schedule because it's not my daily operations. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is in that same boat because some people need assistance with daily operations from about the time they wake up until they're ready to go to bed. So everybody's situation is different. But for me, if there's something I need assistance with, I'm able to schedule it, during business hours and I'm good to go. But Nathan, would you like to share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so just kind of from the way you framed the question, for me, I've never been somebody who's received like attendant care or assistance with daily living tasks, other than my mom and dad trying to teach me how to do stuff. But what I would say is, as you do certain things, it really is about figuring out the adaptation that works for you. I spent 9 years working for a Center for Independent Living before I started doing what I do now. And so, like, one of the best examples I can give, because I can't stand for long periods of time, is like doing vacuuming, right? So what I taught somebody to do is stick a chair in the middle of the room and vacuum around the room. If you're somebody who doesn't use a wheelchair, that's one way where you can save yourself a little bit of stamina when you do something like
And
vacuuming.
the possibility of tipping, as I call it, right? Because I always have that, especially if it's a bad day, I always have that possibility that I could tip with said mop or vacuum. So
Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer.
if I submit myself to the floor, then we're good to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, what I personally do, because of the size of our living room, if I'm vacuuming, is I can move from couch to couch and just vacuum from there and be okay with missing stuff. Like, I think that's another thing. Some of the stuff you're probably gonna miss, and you have to be okay with that. Other things, I think, so I still live with my mom, and we live in a house, so we've got a decent sized yard. And so one of the things that she won't ever let me do is mow the grass, even though I can mow the grass. Like, it's the thing that she was like, no, don't do that, because I would get blisters and all kind of stuff. So I think, again, self-acceptance, even in this part of it, is key, because there are going to be things where, hey, we may want to do it, but maybe it's better to actually have the assistance to be able to do it.
Makes sense. What about you, Scott?
So I'm kind of in Nathan's boat. I also still live at home with my mom. And when it comes to cleaning, there's only so much I can do. And my mom is getting up there in age, and she's actually waiting for 2 knee replacements. So she's kind of limited in her mobility currently. And so when it comes to cleaning, I try and help out as much as I can. But I will say, when it comes to at least house chores and stuff, technology is your best friend. If you can afford it, robotic vacuums and mops are a lifesaver. We've gotten both of them at home, and it's really, really helped both of us right now. with that sort of stuff. But when it comes to, I'll just give you an example, like cooking. Like I can't, because of being spastic quad, I can't really cook on my own. So there are times when, my mom will leave town for a couple days, and she'll make sure that she'll have stuff in the fridge that is kind of ready to go, that I can either just grab or stick in the microwave and then just kind of heat and eat sort of stuff. So it does take a little bit of planning. But I'll give you a story that I love to tell. There was one time when my mom had to go to work. She was a school teacher, and so I think it was at the beginning of the school year, and she had meetings all day. And she would always leave a tray down on actually one of the drawers in our kitchen that was low enough so I could reach it. Because I crawl around in my house because it's just easier for me to get around that way. Especially when I'm trying to deal with food and, all that stuff. And we have a reverse fridge. So the fridge is on the bottom, the freezer's on the top. So I can get to the milk and stuff. And everything that I need to at least fix myself a bowl of cereal. In theory, and Nathan's smiling because he's heard this story. So everything was down there for me to fix my cereal, except my mom forgot to leave the cereal on the counter. The cereal was up above in the cupboards, and I couldn't reach it. You're talking about a guy that can barely stand. So I'm like, okay, how in the world am I going to get the cereal out? I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a way to pull these cabinets open. And they have like knobs on them. There's like a knob, but there's a little cylindrical part of the knob where that was kind of like a doorknob that was in between the hardware and the part that you pull. So I'm like, I need something that kind of hangs down that I can get the cabinet open with. Like, I got it. I've got plastic coat hangers. So I went and grabbed the coat hanger and pulled myself up enough just to hang the coat hanger on there, and then stayed on my knees, pulled the cabinet open, and then went and got a broomstick and just started fishing the cereal box out of the cabinet until it fell down on the counter to where I could reach it.
Never say die, right, Scott? Never
Come on,
say
Rice Krispies. Come on, come on, Rice Krispies.
Exactly. DJ, that was basic. I was fishing for Cheerios. And so, I mean, it really comes down to adapt and overcome, guys. Do whatever you have to do to get the job done. And if it's, if there's a situation where there's an emergency, now when it comes to food or anything, you can always have neighbors on standby, or worse comes to worse, it's not that great for health-wise, but there are meal delivery apps where you can order food, and take care of that stuff. So it really just does come down to a little bit of planning, and a lot of that stuff can be figured out, especially when you're in that situation and you have to figure it out. I'm pretty good at figuring things out pretty dang quick when I have to. So
when the chips are down, you'll figure it out. If you're hungry enough, you'll figure it out, right?
Exactly.
The chips down, we'll figure it out.
Exactly.
Whit, how do you and Devin handle that? I know we've talked about how you handled it during college and your pump and some of the changes and stuff, but how do you handle it now as a couple?
Well, we have two different disabilities. So I have spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy, and he has limb-girdle muscular dystrophy. So we kind of help each other out. Like what he can't do, I can do, and vice versa. So I'm not gonna lie, he does all the cooking because I don't trust myself around the stove. Like I can cook, but I prefer not to. So he does the cooking, and like then we kind of just help each other out throughout the day. Like I have severe anxiety, like severe. So if I don't plan out my day, I will get nothing done because I'm like so anxious that like nothing gets done. So
You bet, Whitney.
and my
Have a good afternoon.
Alexa is talking to me. And
No. Talking by Kana Boone was released on November
oh my
11th, 2015.
god. Okay.
You have a mind of your own. Shut up, Alexa.
Yeah, and I thought a lot. Like I've been on my own since I was 18, like living on my own. But I do fall a lot. So we like I use Alexa when I fall. Like I just told her to call. I just told her to call somebody, like my neighbor or somebody, because I'm never really hurt when I fall. I just can't. Once I'm down, I can't get back up. So it's kind of like that oh shit moment. So like when Devin's here, like since Devin's been here for almost 2 years, like he can help me like get help easier. Me and him had this talk, and I don't know about how y'all feel, but the mental aspect of falling, like being in that mental state, is way worse than the physical. Like having like falling and realizing that you can't get back up is so exhausting mentally, and like that I don't know, just having an ex person here to, like if I do fall, like he can like calm me down. Like I don't know, it's just a lot easier. But when it comes to like our everyday activities, we're eventually gonna get a attendant to split between us, because adults, it's kind of it gets harder to do certain things. So we're gonna eventually get attendant care, but it's not gonna be like 24/7. Like they're only gonna come like a couple days a week or something.
Kind of schedule it as needed. Yeah.
We're both kind of hard headed. Like we don't. It's hard to accept that you need help, and like it's hard to accept to ask for help. Like I do not ask for help.
No, you hard-headed? I would have never thought that.
Exactly.
And bring in the sarcasm.
Yeah. Like when I say do what I say, or do what I say, not what I do, I'm like that is my like epitome of life or whatever, because I will not ask for help whatsoever. I will struggle before I ask for help. So I have to get over that mentality.
Yeah.
Are you one of the ones that open the cereal box and like you're trying to open the damn thing and the cereal explodes everywhere and you're like, ah!
But you know what's funny is I opened it with my teeth. So like it's an even funnier move. It's even funnier because I opened it with my teeth.
Nice. Very nice. So what about you, Mr. DJ? I hope it's okay that I share your wife. She also has a disability. So
sure. I don't share my wife, but you can. It's fine. I mean,
So just so people know that you do have other people that live in your home, because it's different if you live by yourself versus if you have housemates. So
okay, so basically, I can answer this question in 3 small parts. I'm gonna break it down a little bit. Again, honesty is the best policy, and I need help with some things. I was in Whitney's situation to where I wouldn't ask for help for nothing, because I was stubborn and hard-headed and wanted to do it on my own, and ain't nobody gonna tell me no different. Until I fell down and was on the ground for 6 hours. Now, part of that is because I was overweight, part of that is because I wasn't in shape, and part of that is because I had changed from being on the ground to being in my chair all the time. So, you have certain procedures done and they change the way you move and you've got to adapt the way that you do things. So as far as self-care, vacuum going on Scott's, there's a vacuum called a Shark, and it weighs about 4 pounds. And this little vacuum, it don't charge well. You got to charge it like every 3-4 hours because it just doesn't hold a charge well, but it's a good vacuum. It's light. I can move my chair. I almost tried to move my chair at my desk. That wouldn't have been a good idea. I can move my chair. I can move the vacuum an area. I can hold my chair and hold my vacuum in the right hand and vacuum the house. I can mop the floor. I can sweep the floor. I have one of those dustpans that have the handle on it, to where I can put the dustpan down there, and sometimes I weight it down because the stupid thing falls over, and then I got to pick it up with a reacher. A reacher is my best friend. I use the reacher and I get the metal ones, not them stupid little cheap-ass plastic ones. I can't. Anyway, I get the metal ones, the ones that are built for tough, so to speak. But having the right equipment, per se, can give you an edge. A coat hanger is a great thing. I have a cooking show, so I cook. It's on YouTube. It's Cooking with DJ Carter, Capable Cuisine. I have 70 episodes. I started cooking at a very young age. And Emily is my rock. She can walk, and she has spina bifida, so her spina bifida was a lower break in the spine than a higher break. And she's able to help with laundry and help with vacuuming, and I have to have help with socks and shoes. I'm too fat to bend over and get my own shoes and socks on. Again, honesty is the best. I'm letting you know. I'm working on that. I'm drifting it back, sucking it in. Sometimes having a neighbor on standby is a great point. Have people on speed dial. Most cell phones now are voice activated. And this is not something that a lot of people with CP think about. The fire department will help you if you fall, and they won't charge you $100 for coming over and helping you. Now, Scott told a story. I want to tell a little small one. There was a situation where I was in my chair, and I said, I'm good to go. I'm going to go for a walk by myself. Marshall decided to come with me. My roommate. Thank God Marshall came with me, because let me tell you what happened. I had me a little chair that was one of them little hover around type chairs with the little captain seat, the gray seat, and the little that you can take anywhere. Let me tell you, you cannot take that chair anywhere, because this is what happened. It's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm going to go up a curb to get on the sidewalk. Well, the motors of the chair are this high, and the chair is this high. So what happens? I get up the sidewalk, and I say, okay, I'm good. I'm going to go down this little steep little piece. Well, when I went down the steep little piece, you hear, because the motors got stuck on the curb, and I'm like, and half my chair's down and half my chair's up. So Marshall couldn't move the chair. He's wiggling it, trying to get the chair down. Next thing I know, I said, do me a favor, go knock on that dude's door right there and have him see if he can help. So Marshall goes and knocks on the door, and I hear, what do you want? I'm like, oh, God, I'm about to die. Dude comes out. I said, look, man, I said, I'm stuck. My hands are here. I ain't got nothing on me. He like, I'm going to call 911 for you. So he calls 911. They send the ambulance, the fire department. Don't tell them that I'm stuck. Just a dude is on the street and needs help. I'm like, brother, can you tell us? God, for real? Come on. Anyway, so they get there, and it's the same people that helped when I got stuck in the air in my chair, and I was stuck up in the air at a full, 90-degree angle, and my chair broke. He said, first your chair breaks, and now you stuck on the curb. Let me help you out. So he gets out the fire truck. He's like, I got this. Picks the chair up, and it goes on the thing, and it goes on its merry way. So sometimes you got to get humiliation out of your system, because humiliation is going to happen. Your underwear going to turn one way when you fall, and you're going to be twisted that way and cut off the circulation to something else. Look, it's going to happen. I'm letting y'all know. The side of the toilet can be your best friend, right? With sorry.
My favorite picture to date on CP Sunrise is one that Whitney shared. Now, she was fully clothed. We will disclose she was fully clothed. But she was in the middle of a transition in the bathroom and fell directly between the toilet and the shower, and she posted it. It's still my favorite picture to date.
Yeah. And we had just talked about falling in, and then like 5 seconds later, I fell. Like
5 seconds later, she fell. And we had
Best
done a whole series on falling, how to fall, how you feel about it.
Best picture she's ever taken. She was like, just smiling, just right there.
And she was wedged between the toilet and the base of the bathtub. There was no way she was getting out of that. There was no.
Couple things I want to add. First of all, since DJ mentioned, being a little heavier, this brings out the personal trainer side in me. I work out 5 days a week. If you're able to, it's so important to stay as fit as you can.
That's true.
Not to look like I don't get in the gym to look like Mr. Universe. People tell me all the time, "Oh, I can't believe you're here 5 days a week." I'm like, I don't have a choice. I'm here to maximize what I already have, not to look good.
Mm-hmm.
It's to live my best life.
Okay, calm down, guy. There's a little bit of look good in there. Let's act like that's not
you see
reality.
You see what happened right there? He cut that quick. He said, wait.
Nathan, you know, we've talked about this. When you're in a chair, the guns are going to happen anyway. So, why not just work with what I got? Secondly, to DJ's point about the fire department, and this is something we didn't know until I forget who told us, but in case of an emergency, you can call the non-emergency number of your local fire department and have them list on your address number, so when it comes up for EMS or 911 or whatever, it'll list that there is somebody with a disability in the home. And it should be nationwide.
That's how.
Wow, I was not aware of that. Wow.
That's how I got by when I fell in college. The university police knew that I was in a wheelchair, so all I had to do was call the non-emergency number if I fell, and they came. But
you have to update that every year.
Yeah.
Just
I have plenty of funny stories too. But one time when I was in college, I fell and my door was locked, and they gave me a regular. Everyone else had like those hotel key entry doors. I couldn't do those, so they just put a regular lock and key in my door, and the person that had the extra key wasn't at work, so the fire department had to knock down my door. It was hilarious.
Oh my Lord.
Hashtag life with a disability.
Humiliation will happen.
Well, that drawer was stable, but it's not stable anymore. We'll have more on this story as it develops.
I have one other thing.
You have no privacy. That's how that works. So I think we've done a good job with that. Guys, the last question to wrap up today.
Nathan,
I know all of us.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so since we were talking about self-care, attendance, I think it's important if you are using attendant or getting ready to use an attendant to practice your communication with those individuals and know that they are employees of you.
Right.
So
That's
make
true.
sure
That's a good point.
make sure that they are someone that you trust and that you, in your experience with them, you feel like they are dependable.
I 100%. Yeah, agree totally. And that may actually be something that we take a deeper dive on as time goes on, if we get some more questions, because we do have the majority of our population at CP Sunrise is dealing with disability as we age, and we don't mean old like as in age like 75. We mean disability.
What'd you say?
30, 40, 50, right? Because our bodies are just different. And I know Whitney and I have discussed it. DJ and I have discussed it. Aging with a disability is not for the faint of heart, right? What you could do, 5 years ago and what you feel comfortable doing now may change on a weekly, monthly, daily, even if you're hitting the gym like a lot of us do. So it's something that comes up a lot. So guys, if you're watching this and you have more deep dive questions about caregiving, let us know.
Get them in, guys. Yep.
Yeah, let us know. We may start a series on that. I've gotten some questions about bathing. We're not going to touch that one today, but that's one that we will probably get into here before too long, because most of the worst accidents happen in the damn bathroom. That's just how I think. So we'll give that its own episode. But the last question for today comes from one of our members who is in the midst of college and is going through that transition you go through where everybody knows you at high school and now you're at a new place. I know all of us did higher ed beyond high school, different settings. So this question has to do with, how did you broach with your instructors when you needed extra time? Not because you haven't done your work, but because it takes you longer to produce the product, aka typing, writing, etc., etc. So Nathan, are you cool going first?
Yeah. So, man, just thinking about college makes me feel old. But what I ended up doing, it was one of the very first things that I did when I got to school. And that has to do with my experience in high school. And I knew that when you go to college, all those things don't carry over and you have to do them differently when you get to college. And so that was like the first meeting I ever went to, was what my school called the Student Success Center, and with accommodations. But what I can tell you from the flip side is, if you haven't done that, you're not alone. There's lots of people who are eligible for support services that don't do it, and they don't do it because they feel like it makes them different. But I would ask you the question of, what's your goal that you want to get out of this experience? And these things are put in place for that to happen for you. So I wrote my letter, and after the first day of every class, I went up and talked to the teachers about what I needed. I let them know I had the supports available. And funny story, sometimes like we can use our disability to our advantage sometimes, because there was one time I showed up to class and I didn't realize there was a test. And luckily, I talked to the professor. I was like, man, I didn't get it scheduled at the Student Success Center to get my extra time. And luckily, he was kind enough to let me reschedule. I totally had no clue. I walked in, I'm like, what's everybody doing? They're like, oh, it's a test today. I was like, oh, well, this is going to end pretty badly, or how we can solve this. But you have to be open about what you need, and you have to figure out your best way to communicate that need to the person. And if there are issues with the professor, once you talk to them about that, then you get to take that up with the administration if that becomes a thing.
Well said. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Scott, at your Fresno State time? How'd you handle extra time or accommodations?
Pretty much the same way Nathan did. The very first meeting that I had before I even was a student at Fresno State was with my counselor from, we called it Services for Students with Disabilities. And he went over my IEP that I had in high school and basically approved my same accommodations. So not much changed in that regard. And to Nathan's point, the very first conversation I would have uh, with my professors would be right after that very first class and just say, hey, this is what I need. And they're like, that's totally fine. Some of them had a little bit of an issue, and I'm like, okay, well, how can we work this out?
Sure.
But a lot of them were like, just let me know what you need, you know. And to Nathan's point about missing a test, I actually did that with a final one time. Yeah, I learned pretty quick after that to always look at the top of the syllabus because I completely got the wrong day in my mind of when a final was. Luckily, he let me take a makeup. It was all good. But yeah, just be upfront, and everything should work out. Worst comes to worst, just don't be afraid to be your own advocate. And to kind of add to that a little bit, when it comes to accommodations, my path was a little bit different than a lot of people, at least in my community, and definitely anybody that I know with a disability, because I followed DJ's heart for radio and broadcasting. I actually got my degree in broadcast journalism from Fresno State. And I remember one time that I had to take a broadcast performance class, and they used the old sets from our local TV stations. And guess what? They're all raised. I had no way to get my power chair up to the anchor desk to be able to take the class. So, Disabled Student Services did help me get a ramp, and they will take care of even structural stuff when and if that stuff comes up. It's not just academic accommodations. They're there for the whole shebang, shall we say. Any issues that you have, bring it up to them. And I will say also, this is just my chosen way of going about it. I've found that when it comes to needing accommodations, you catch many more flies, as the old saying goes, with honey than with vinegar. Why you're catching flies, I don't know. But the way I would always go about it is, hey, here's an issue. How can we solve this? Instead of saying, this is what I need and what I need it now. I need it now. Say, here's a problem. How can I help you guys solve this for me and other students? And I was actually complimented when I was getting ready to graduate by the director of Services for Students with Disabilities at Fresno State about that, because she said so many students come in here and they just demand and complain and say, I need what I need now. She says, you don't do that. You say, how can I work with you to get this done? And that's the way I've always looked at it. And in my opinion, that's the best way to handle that. So if you can remember to kind of calm down, just realize things will happen as they're supposed to happen, and people are there to help you. So
That makes sense. Whitney, I know you and I are both doing school at the graduate level. Do you have anything to add from your second round versus how you asked for things your first round? Because I know my second round is kind of like, use it or lose it.
Like
I would say this. I would say accommodations were much more welcoming at undergrad than grad, but
Yes.
that's just my
it's
that's
totally.
just my experience.
You're totally right. My advice would, I chose small programs, and it was kind of like cohorts. Like I know you don't understand what that means, but you go to the same classes with the same people. Like so they we were like just one big family. So like I didn't really have to we had the same professors, so like I had talked to them once, and then it was taken care of. It was done. But it also comes to, I am very outspoken. I'm very sarcastic and outspoken. So like if something's wrong, I'm gonna tell you about it. Like it's not. So that would be one piece of advice is that you have to advocate for yourself. Like you can't just go in there and expect it to be done for you. Like it's no high school to college is totally different. You have to be confident in yourself in order to get the service that you need.
Yeah.
If you go in there quiet and shy, like you're not gonna.
And I am by no way dissuading anyone to get a graduate degree. If you're considering it or thinking about it, definitely hit Whitney and I up. I'm by no way saying that it cannot be done. It can. I'm just saying once you get to the master's and doctorate level, people care a lot less about your experience.
I'm gonna add. This is no way, like Jamie said, this is no way to like deter you, but I chose to not go through disability services and just have candid conversations with my professors when it came to the graduate degree, because the services there for grad school were not. Yeah, so I chose not to go through disability services for my graduate degree. Like, I just had one-on-one conversations with my professors, and they were lucky enough that they were okay with that.
Right.
Interesting.
And they didn't need it in writing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so it just depends on your environment, your program. But just a heads up, if you are, going the graduate school route, it's something you want to really think about when you're picking your graduate program. Because once you're in, and you've got to, you got to tough it out. So definitely do your homework up front.
Yeah, it's a good point to be made that I don't know, like the in my case, like the DARS, like the services to like help you pay for college, that wasn't offered to me in for graduate school, so that was like out the window. Like their assistance to like get stuff was not there for graduate school, so that's another thing to bring up.
Yeah, so again, we are advocates for continuing ed because we've both been there, done that, continuing to do it. But grad school is a little bit different. So if anybody in the group is thinking about that, definitely hit Whitney and I up. It's a round 2 of what kind of goes on when you're getting your bachelor's. So you will get there, but do not put yourself on a time frame. That's the biggest thing I can say. Don't think that you're going to get there, just on this magical calendar map, because it doesn't happen that way. But that's how that works. So I think this has been really cool to have some new voices. DJ, did you want to talk a little bit about what you did at school for your accommodations?
Yeah, just I want to add like 2 30-second points that this kind of works 2 ways, and everybody else has basically said kind of the same thing. Get to know your instructors and be honest with them. Be open and candid and respectful. And another way to look at it is, I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. How can we solve this? I've gone through broadcasting. I've gone through. I went to Woodrow Wilson Center for Employment in Fishersville. It's WWRC. It's a rehabilitation center. So the college that I went to was for people with disabilities, and I received a certificate of attainment because I completed the class. But in completing the classes, I received the highest award that school gives, which is the R.N. Anderson, because we have to realize as people, yes, we need accommodations, but there was something that a couple people have said. I know Scott said it. I know Whitney said it. I know I believe Nathan said it, and I know Jamie said it. You have to be your own advocate, because when you're in the college level, your disability matters, but it doesn't, because people want to see this. People want to see what you have upstairs, and you have to. Some of it, they want to see you overcome what is in your way. And yes, they will accommodate for you. And extra time was something I needed because I write slower. But it's I can sure talk faster. So verbalizing tests, taking tests verbally, use what you know. And part of the other thing I was going to say was, I'm a black belt in martial arts. You have to, on a level when you're teaching, you have to be sympathetic or empathetic with your students, because not all students learn the same way. Some people learn by seeing, some people learn by doing, and some learn by writing it out and reading it. So it's there's different ways to do things.
Man, DJ, you and I are so similar, man. I wasn't going to tell this story, but you keep bringing all these stories out of me. Talk about teaching people a different way and being your own best advocate. Nathan probably knows where this story's going, but in one of my broadcasting classes, everything was fine until one day we had to go into the control room. The entire class went in there. I'm the only one in a chair. Guess what the control room had? About 4 or 5 steps. It was not level. It was built in the 50s or 60s and had not been remodeled yet. So I have always had this attitude where I will do whatever I have to do what I have to do. I don't care what it looks like. So I was like, cool. I'm just going to get down on my hands and knees and crawl up these steps and be with my class. It was no big deal to me. But it just so happened that a former broadcaster was there auditing the class because she was getting her master's. She and another student wouldn't let me do that. They helped me up. And I didn't say anything after that. I didn't go to my department head and complain and say this had to be done. But guess what? That master's student, who also was a bit of a local legend as a broadcaster, did, who then later on went on and became one of my professors. She went and talked to the head of the department on my behalf and said, this isn't right. We need to get this fixed. And because I like to think it's because of the way I handled that got remodeled, and it is now completely ADA compliant. Unfortunately, after I graduated, so I never really got to use it, but it got done. And so
the moral to the story is, don't be an asshole, right? If you're not an asshole,
That's a great moral.
You will have a much better chance of either people being willing to help you or people asking for help on your behalf. So Very cool. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
sometimes, people get down, right? And they forget that they're going to get back the energy that they give out. And we all get frustrated. Every single person in this room gets frustrated, right? We have crap days. Let's not lie, Some days are better than others. But we can't, especially when we're engaging with the public outside of our little CP bubble, we can't take that with us, because if we give off that energy of, ugh, then we're gonna get, something ugly kind of back. So yeah,
Well, and don't use your CP to, like, when you say, oh, people don't like me because my CP. No, they probably didn't like you because you were an asshole.
Correct.
That's
correct. Yeah.
You're just an asshole with CP. That's kind of how it works.
Exactly.
And Jamie, it's so funny that I came up with a quote this morning that just came to me that perfectly just reiterates what you just said. Yes, we all have the right to be angry, frustrated, and mad at the world. But is it the right choice?
Yeah. Yeah, where are you going to go with it, right?
And more often than not, it's not the right choice.
Right. Yeah, you gotta pick your battles for sure. So
Absolutely.
I think we did a wonderful job finishing off at the top of the hour, you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. CP Posse in the house. We have completed another CP Potluck. All of you out there, thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to be sharing this on Sunday, the 13th. I know I will be. DJ and Whitney usually do. Nathan and Scott may as well. So thank you for joining our event. Make sure you get those questions for the next one. We do it around the 15th of every month. So get your questions to Jody, DJ, or myself for the next one. And thanks so much for being here, guys. We'll see you again real soon. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.